Hello students, welcome. In this lecture, we will see the magnetic materials. So as soon as I say magnetic materials, first question come to your mind that what should be the origin of magnetism? It has two kind of origin. One is called as macroscopic and another is called as microscopic. This macroscopic origin, it means that if we have a wire in current is flowing through the wire, that wire can produce a magnetic field surrounding it. That is due to the charge current. Second kind of origin is from the microscopic phenomena. This is at the atomic scale. In which atom we have electrons. Electrons are also moving in a atom surrounding the nucleus. This electron is, we can say, a tiny magnet, and that can produce microscopic magnetic moment. So now if we have a wire which is having area A and is carrying a current I, the magnetic field or the magnetic moment due to that current is given by M. It is equal to I into A. Here the magnetic moment is the ability to produce or get affected by a magnetic field. So the basic unit of magnetism is known as magnetic moment, that we show by M or mu. It gives the ability of a material to produce or get affected by a magnetic field. Similar to the electric field, in magnetic field also we have dipoles. Those are north and south, we can say, and these imaginary lines of force can be drawn and they will go from north to the south. So in most of the materials, the origin of magnetic moments is due to the spin of electrons. The spin of electrons along with the orbital motion will produce a magnetic field. Also the nucleus also have some spin, and that can also show a magnetic properties. But since the magnetic properties of nucleus are very weak, we will not consider this. We will consider the magnetic properties of only electrons due to the spin motion and due to the orbital motion. For an electron to possess a magnetic moment, it should be unpaired. If it is paired, the magnetic moment is 0. So if you take one electron, a single electron, and if you measure the magnetic moment due to the spin of electrons, it will comes equal to 9.27 into 10 to the minus 24 ampere meter square. This we can call as Bohr magnetron. So Bohr magnetron is a magnetic moment from a spin of single unpaired electron. Before going further, let's review some important definitions in magnetism. First is known as magnetic moment. Magnetic moment will measure the strength of a magnet, that is given by M equal to I into A, or it will tell you how much it can magnetize. Then second term is the magnetization. Magnetization is similar to the polarization. This is magnetic moment per unit volume. The polarization is the electric dipole moment per unit volume. Third is magnetic field strength or magnetizing force. This is shown by H. This is the extent of external applied field. Whatever field we have applied, the strength of that field is given by H, that is applied magnetic force. So this H is the applied magnetic force, external magnetic field. This M is the internal magnetic moments of the sample. We will deal with these two quantity most of the times. Then there is a magnetic induction or magnetic flux density that we shown by B. So this denotes flux density inside a material. Suppose we have a material, and if you apply magnetic field to H, that is we apply H to that material, some magnetic lines of force will go inside the material, and if you measure the flux, that will be given by B, and B is equal to mu 0 H plus M. This mu 0 is the permeability of a vacuum. Permeability means how much magnetic field it can permeate, that is given by mu. So mu is given by B upon H. B is the magnetic flux density and H is the magnetic field strength. Then there is a term called as magnetic susceptibility. This value denotes how much magnetic field it can hold. This will also tell you whether your sample will attract or repel to the applied external magnetic field, that is given by M upon H. So there are basically 5 types of magnetism. One is called as diamagnetism. All matters possess these properties. Then if we consider the spin and orbital motion of electron, we will have 3 kind of phenomena, or if we consider interacting atomic moments, one is ferromagnetic, one is ferrimagnetic, and one is antiferromagnetic. If we consider non-interacting atomic moments, it means that atomic moments are not interacting with each other, then that will be given by the paramagnetic behavior or the paramagnetic sample. So we will see now one by one. So first is the diamagnetism. Diamagnetism is very weak form of magnetism and this produced in all samples. This is non-permanent and only available when we apply magnetic field. So here you can see when H equal to 0, when we don't apply any magnetic field, there is no dipole formation in the sample. When we apply external magnetic field, that is H, there is a formation of magnetic dipoles in the sample. This is because whatever shells of your atom are filled, they will give diamagnetic behavior. If you measure the permeability of diamagnetic material, it will be less than 1 and the susceptibility will be less than 0. And the B, that is the magnetic flux strength of a material, will be less than the B, that is magnetic flux of the vacuum. So how to identify whether you have a material which is diamagnetic or not? If you keep a diamagnetic material in the magnetic poles, suppose we have north pole here, we have south pole here. If you place a diamagnetic material inside the magnetic poles, it will repel the magnetic field. The magnetic field from this pole will get repelled because this diamagnetic material will produce magnetic field in opposing direction to the applied magnetic field. That's why as soon as you increase the applied magnetic field, external magnetic field, the magnetization will decrease, or magnetization is in opposite direction. And at H equal to 0, there is no magnetization at all. Here the susceptibility is very less, that is, and negative, that is minus 10 to the power minus 5. These examples are typically copper, gold, silver, silicon, zinc, Al2O3. Second type of material is known as paramagnetic materials. These materials will have their intrinsic magnetic moments, but they are random in nature. Where we don't apply any magnetic field, the magnetic moments are randomized. As soon as we apply the magnetic field, these magnetic moments will get aligned towards the direction of magnetic field. So there may be net magnetic properties when we apply magnetic field. Here the permeability that will be greater than 1 and the susceptibility that will be greater than 0. So how to know whether we have a paramagnetic material or not? If you keep a paramagnetic material in between two magnetic poles, it will weakly attract the applied magnetic field. It will weakly attract the applied magnetic field and the susceptibility will be in the range of 10 to the power minus 5 to 10 to the power minus 2. Typical examples are Al, Cr, Na, Ti, Zr, Mo. If you take a paramagnetic material and if you apply the applied magnetic field, with increase in the magnetic field, there is a increase in the magnetization also. But at H equal to 0, there is no net magnetic moment. Third kind of material is known as ferromagnetic materials. This kind of phenomena is observed only when there is a 3D orbital and that is be unpaired. So if we have unpaired electron in the 3D orbital of any element, we can have the ferromagnetic phenomena. Here there is a net magnetic moment even in the absence of magnetic field. If you don't apply magnetic field, still it can show net magnetic moment. And when you apply the magnetic field, this dome moments will get aligned to the direction of magnetic field. Here the susceptibility value is positive and is very large, nearly equal to 10 to the power 6, and this will strongly attract the magnetic field. So this is your poles, magnetic poles. This material, ferromagnetic material, will strongly attract the magnetic field. If you measure the magnetization, it will have some hysteresis loop. It means that at H equal to 0, there is a net magnetization in the sample. That is given by this point. So what is the origin of ferromagnetism then? Why there is a difference in ferromagnetic materials and paramagnetic materials? So here the difference is due to the alignment of the spins. The spins in the ferromagnetic materials are aligned in a particular fashion or aligned together till a particular distance. That distance we can call as domains. I will repeat again. The spins in the ferromagnetic materials are aligned in a particular fashion or coupled in a particular fashion. Due to this coupling, there will be net magnetic moment even when there is no applied magnetic field. And that formation of that spin or the formation of that coupling will give rise to the region. That region we can call as domain. So the coupling of the spins or the alignment of the spin will give rise to a region over extended area, and that we call as a domains. So domains are formed to minimize the energy, and domain is basically the collection of spins. So now the question is how the domain gets formed and why do they form. So if we have 3D orbitals and they are overlapped with the neighboring atom, we have two atoms, their 3D orbital is overlapped together. So one atom has one spin, for example, this another atom has some other spin. These spins will get coupled together or they will get aligned together. Due to this alignment, we have a phenomena of ferromagnetism. If the spins are in opposite direction, say for example one is in up direction, one is in down direction, then that we call as a antiferromagnetic phenomena. This is happening due to the exchange integral that is given by JEX. This is simply will tell you the relative proximity of the electrons. If you have electrons, they have some energy. If you measure the energy of the unmagnetized state and if you measure the energy of magnetized state, and if you subtract, you will get the exchange integral. And this exchange interaction energy that is given by EEX is equal to minus JEX S1 and S2. S1, S2 are the spin angular momenta of individual atoms, because in ferromagnetic materials the net magnetic moments it is due to the spins of electrons. So now this E exchange, that is exchange interaction energy, should be minimum. So minimum we can say should be negative. If J is positive, then and only then the exchange interaction energy will be negative, and that is happening in the case of ferromagnetic materials. These ferromagnetic materials will have a spin in the same direction. That's why the J is positive, and if J is positive, then E is negative. So here we can say that E exchange is negative, that is exchange interaction energy is negative. And if you have spin in opposite direction, say for example in antiferromagnetic materials, one is spin up, one has spin down, here the exchange integral is negative. So if exchange integral is negative, then exchange interaction energy is positive. So out of these two, negative is the minimum energy state. That's why your material will try to remain in that state if their spins are aligned in same direction. Now this exchange integral, that is a function of diameter of the material and diameter of 3D orbital. Say diameter of the atom and diameter of that 3D orbital of that particular atom, that we will see now. So we have some elements such as gadolinium, cobalt, Mn, chromium, nickel. If you measure the d atomic, that is the diameter of that element, to the 3D orbital diameter ratio, if that ratio comes to less than 1.5, that material is antiferromagnetic. If that ratio is 1.5 to 2, that material we called as ferromagnetic material. So this is a threshold here. At this point, this d orbital or d atomic by d3d orbital is 1.5. So below this one, all are antiferromagnetic. Above this one, all are ferromagnetic in nature. Can we have or can we change a material from antiferromagnetic to ferromagnetic? Yes, that is possible. If we can change the diameter of the material, because we cannot change the 3d orbital diameter, but we can change the diameter of that particular atom or the material by alloying. So we have two atoms here. Now they are having antiferromagnetic behavior because their spins are opposite. If by some doping, if we can change the diameter of one alloy element of ferromagnetic material out of antiferromagnetic material. So example is here, we have Mn, that is antiferromagnetic in nature. So if we dope this Mn by some suitable alloys, we can change the Mn distance, that is the diameter we can change. So after changing the diameter, we can convert the material from antiferromagnetic to ferromagnetic state. Next type of material is known as antiferromagnetic materials. Antiferromagnetic materials are the materials in which the spins are exactly opposite to each other, and that's why net magnetic moments is 0. So this happens in the case, for example, chromium, MnO, FeO. Here we have one magnetic moment that is in the up direction, another one in down direction, one magnetic moment in up direction, another one in down direction. So they will cancel out together and the net magnetic moment will be 0. In the case study of antiferromagnetic material, we can take example of MnO. As I told you just now, one Mn ion will have spin in down direction, one Mn ion will have spin in up direction. So this has spin in down direction, this has spin in up direction. So they will cancel out together, and that's why there is no net magnetic moment. The last kind of material is known as ferrimagnetic materials. So these ferrimagnetic materials are similar to the antiferromagnetic materials, but their magnetic moment is finite. It means that there is no complete magnetic moment cancellation. So for example, we have two electrons, they have spin up. This is a ferromagnetic material. This is case of ferromagnetic materials. One spin up, one spin down. This is for antiferro. Say for example, we have three electrons or three atoms. Two are in positive direction, one is in negative direction. So net magnetic moment. So as I said, one electron will produce 1 μb Bohr magnetron magnetic moment. So 1 μb for this one μb for this one, and 1 μb for this one. Since these are in up direction, it will be 2 μb minus this is in down direction, so minus μb. So total magnetic moment equal to μb. So there is no complete cancellation of magnetic moments in the ferrimagnetic materials. Typical example is shown here, such as manganese ferrite. This is example of Fe3O4. So you can see that this spin down and spin down. So this is equal to 3 μb in the opposite direction, spin up, 6 μb, these have spin up, 3 μb, these have spin down. So net magnetic moment will be given by 6 μb minus 3 μb is equal to 3 μb. So they will not cancel out each other. Instead, they will have some finite magnetic moment. Let's take an example of Fe3O4 again. For clarity, it's shown here. Fe3O4, we have Fe3 plus ions and Fe2 plus ions. So 100% of the Fe3 plus ion go to the A side as shown here. 50% of the Fe2 plus and 50% of the Fe3 plus will go to the B side. So Fe3 plus is shown here, Fe2 plus is shown here. So here the net magnetic moment is 5 μb here the net magnetic moment is 4 mu b. So total magnetic moment is 9 mu b for the B state, that is shown here. For A state, since these spins are in opposite direction, this will get cancelled out from the 9 mu b. So net magnetic moment is equal to 4 mu b. So ferromagnetic materials will possess some magnetic moment due to the spins, because there is no total cancellation of magnetic moments or spins, you can see. In summary, we can have a relation between B and H, that is shown here. The diamagnetic material will not have any magnetic moments in the absence of magnetic field. As soon as you apply magnetic field, they will become randomly oriented. The paramagnetic materials will have random magnetic moments even in the absence of magnetic field. As soon as you apply magnetic field, this will align in the direction of magnetic field. The ferromagnetic materials will have permanent magnetic moments even in the absence of magnetic field. When you apply magnetic field, they will get aligned towards the magnetic field. This is summary for dia, para, ferro, antiferro and ferromagnetic materials. I request you to pause here and look at this table. So if you have this 5 band of materials, you can know the difference in these materials by measuring the magnetization and the applied magnetic field. Or the susceptibility and the temperature.